All right, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw a failure at 1846 half, and we ended up getting a liquidation type move down to 1832.75, where responsive buyers entered the market and pushed it back up. At this point, we're basically in a two-sided market, and we're in a pretty defined balance area. Basically, if you look at the breakout bar that we had to the upside, that resulted in the push to the new all-time high. So far, we're more or less just ranging within that day's range. If we look at the 24-hour range, so far we're just balancing within a range. And overall, it's a very two-sided market. There hasn't really been a big push to the upside or the downside. We have started seeing a bit more activity on the sell side since yesterday, and our bias shifted to being neutral yesterday, and even today, it's a very two-sided context, and we're open to long and short setups. Now, on the econ calendar, the main econ reports are already out of the way, and at this point, the only market-moving event pending is Janet Yellen is supposed to be speaking at 9 a.m. Central, and that can result in some directional movement. And heading into that, we can continue this two-sided movement. So we're going to be using 41 to 43 as the micro bull bear zone. That's essentially the high volume node in the current balance. And if we don't get directional conviction to the upside or the downside, we can continue balancing around the 41 to 43. So that means that if we get any movements to the downside, it can still attract buyers, and then we can target a move back up to 41, 43. And if we get a short-term pop into the 49 to 51 resistance or 53 quarter, that can attract responsive sellers, and we can then get a rotation back down towards 41 to 43. So what we're really going to be looking for is whether we get directional conviction in the market after 9 a.m. Central. In the first half hour, it's probably going to continue to be somewhat two-sided. The 41 to 43 area can be a bit of a chop zone because it is the main high volume node in the recent balance. So that can be a bit of a choppy area in the market. It can certainly be the start of a directional move if you get directional conviction, but if there isn't any directional conviction in the market and you're more or less just balancing in a range, then you can rotate around the 41 to 43 zone. So you do have to be careful trading and entering new trades right at that zone. First test we got a rotation off the zone already, and now we're more or less chopping right at the micro bull bear. So right off the open, given the overnight weakness, we can still get a sell response and head lower. 36 to 38 pre-market support is basically the lows from the last two sessions. And, if we fail and get a strong directional bar off of 41 to 43, then 36 to 38 is going to be a risky trade setup. It's a spot where, shorts can certainly cover and take some profit, but it's a risky spot for new buyers to step in. So, the further away you get from 41 to 43, the better the reward to risk gets on any fade setups. And, for that reason, we're not going to be very active at 36 to 38. It's an area where we would really have to see something pretty clear cut in real time in order to take a long setup there. On the long side, we do want to see a bit of an extension lower, maybe fill the gap at 34 quarter, perhaps get near the overnight lows, get a bit overextended, and ideally, 29 quarter, 31 quarter is really the spot where buyers can have pretty decent edge and good reward to risk. So, as far as the long side goes, below 41 to 43, we do have to be careful. Above it, if we break above 41 to 43 on a strong upside breakout bar, at that point we can get some short-term directional conviction up to the 49 to 51. So in that case, we may be able to get on board and take a long setup. but we just have to keep in mind that it is a two-sided market so far. So we're not going to be pressing either direction because we're not expecting a trend day. We're still expecting more of a two-sided session. After 9 a.m. Central, if the market puts in a big reaction, then perhaps we can extend the range a bit. But we have several econ reports out tomorrow that are more critical anyway, and for those reasons, I don't think that we're set up for a trend type move, especially given the overnight activity, the fact that we already broke below the recent 2-day lows, found buyers, and went back up. So at this point, that move has kind of already taken place, and I think it's better to be selective, in this type of day. Now, the good thing is that we are running pretty decent relative volume, so the rotations can be pretty decent, and we can get some wider swings, right, where a reaction at one zone can end up resulting in a 7 to 8 point swing in the other direction before the other side steps in. And for that reason, if you break on a strong breakout bar above 41 to 43, you could go up to 49 to 51 before you get any decent reaction. And then the reaction at 49 to 51 or 53 can bring ES all the way back down towards 41 to 43. So we could see some of that short-term volatility as ES balances in a range. But overall, I think you still want to be pretty selective on the trades that you take. Of course, focus on the key zones, and if in real time, it seems like the momentum is not really favoring a fade setup, then wait until the next zone, right? Take the more conservative trade location instead of jumping the gun and getting active a bit too soon, then getting stopped out only to see the next zone working out as expected. So you don't want to get into that type of trade. So those are really the main ideas heading into the day. Again, the first 30 minutes could be a bit more choppy because of the 9 a.m. Central, Janet Yellen scheduled to speak at that time. So because of that, the first 30 minutes could just be a bit of back and forth where we don't really see a lot of directional conviction. And then after 9 a.m. Central, perhaps we can get some better directional moves. But bigger picture, we're still within balance. So, not expecting a trend type move on the day time frame. So those are our main ideas. Let's see how well we hold up, and we'll take it from there.